Hello again, Cougar fans. Welcome into another episode of Voiceover with Greg and Shep. He's the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell. My name is Jason Shepherd, and today we're going to talk a little BYU football. And if you're going to talk some Cougar football, you might as well go all the way to the top. Happy to have the head coach of the BYU Cougars heading into year number 5 at the helm of BYU football, Kalani Sitake, joining us. Kalani, how are you?
What's going on, guys? Great to be on with you, Greg and Shep. Thank you so much.
We haven't had a chance to see you in a long time, obviously. It's been a while since anybody's been able to have sort of face-to-face conversation. It's been about 2 months since really the COVID-19 changed our daily lives. How has it felt like for you in the last 2 months? What's it been like for you?
Well, I mean, I think we're getting used to Zoom and how it works now, and being able to talk and then wait for a response, that instead of people talking over each other. But I think for me personally, it's been hard. I'm a guy that wants to hug every BYU fan out there, and wants to be to connect and talk with people as much as I can, and so it's been really difficult. But I think we're finding other ways, and it allows me to keep things a priority. Looking at my family and spending time with them, and then just trying to get the work done and relying on our players to do their part, at their various homes too. So I think for all of us, it's an adjustment, but I think we've been used to being, having to adjust to different things. And I, more than anything, if it's been centered around being at home, being with your family, I think we could definitely do it. So it's worked out. So far it's worked out well.
Like Shep said, it's been about 2 months. Has it felt like longer than 2 months maybe? And if you could, looking back to that week when it all kind of shut down, does it seem like a long time ago?
Yeah, it does, but it also seems like kind of got used to it, and it's been just trying to find different ways to do things. And I think as we go throughout even the days and the hours, just trying to the adjustment has become a little bit easier. But I think the hardest part is just the interaction, not just with work and everything, but it's a social interaction, also church and just not being around so many people. I think it's even when you're out driving on the road and you're in the public, it's still weird. Nobody really looks at each other and everyone just kind of keep it to themselves. When you're going on walks, everyone stays a good distance away from each other. So I can't wait for it to get back to normal. But I've been really proud, and I think I've said this before, just really impressed with a lot of the things that I've seen from just all the people that I've known, and seen how they're adapting to this and how they're making it become even a strength for them. You see a lot of the connections that we have with our players. I've been really impressed with our players and our coaching staff and the things they've been able to do, and staying in contact with each other, but also the responsibility that I know that I can trust them to get their things done. And we had, looking at our semester, we had a great semester in academics, and a lot of that has to do with the people that we trust. And it's not like school got easier all of a sudden when you went to Zoom. It just became a little bit different. But just love the fact that our guys can buckle down and just get the work done, and even under such a difficult circumstances, they're able to make it a positive. And I'm still seeing a lot of the great service and things that are going on from our players, and caring and taking care of others. So it's been really impressive for me to see.
The million-dollar question, really, and everybody wants to know, what's the chance that we're going to have college football this year? How likely, Kalani, do you think it is that we see college football this season?
Well, I think the answer to that question would have been different maybe a month ago, even when we were saying that that's not our worry right now. We're just concerned with trying to stay healthy and keep people safe. And I think now we can kind of forecast a little bit more with things kind of going a little bit more lenient, but I think for the most part, I think we're ready for whatever comes. I mean, people are still important, and that's still further down the line. That's a ways away from now. But I think that there's this thirst and hunger for people wanting to get back together and get things back to normal, and normal life is football in the fall. So I think that is the wish, but I think for the most part, everybody's wishing for everything to get back to normal, not just football, but school, life, just everything in society, and so I think that's kind of I just know that when football is being played in fall, that's a good sign that things are back to normal.
How important is spring ball that you missed? You got a bit of it in, but essentially no spring ball. And what is the effect maybe of not having it going to be when you do get back together as a team, do you think?
We were able to really capitalize. We had 6 practices, but we were able to capitalize on some of the things that we've done. And just recently, the NCAA allowed us to have more strategy and scheme and technique and be able to talk about install. It's been almost 2 weeks now that we've been able to do that. And so having that has been really, really beneficial for us. But our players have had the opportunity to look on film. With everything that we have, they've had the stuff where they can just scout our opponents and look at football and review things that they've done. And so that's way different than what we had when I was a player. So the fact that they have all these resources available to them and all this film available to them, they could have watched every game from the last 4 or 5 seasons like I did, and then just kind of review everything. I was able to spend some time watching a lot of the players individually, see all the reps that they had in 2019 and see how I can help them out and the things that I saw from my point of view. So there's a lot of time to do that. And, and luckily technology's advanced so far that we can have that available at our fingertips. And so our players are taking advantage of all of it. And there's not a lot of distractions right now. It's the workouts that they do individually and staying on top of school and then making sure that their family and everyone's safe. So I think that's a good thing when it keeps it kind of simple for us.
Keeping along the same lines as that, Kalani, when in a normal season or a normal off season, your spring ball usually wraps at around April. So let's say from April to the time that fall camp starts in August, what's usually being done during those months? And you touched on it just a little bit there, but what do you hope that your players are doing right now on their own?
Well, normally during April, May, June, and July, there's some time that we give them off that's mandatory from the NCAA. And so most of April is given to them where they can have some time to just relax and they still work out. It's a year-round thing for the players, but they're able to. We just can't make it mandatory for them to be there, And we get towards May, June, and July. There's still some time where we give them off, but there's some times that we can mandate that they're here for the certain workouts. But nothing really has changed much other than. We set up the workouts and we trust them to get it done, and I think for our players, the guys that we get to coach, I think we know that they're responsible and they're going to take care of it. And I from the things that I've seen and watching the players on Zoom and then the feedback I'm getting from our coaches that they've done an amazing job with their workouts, considering the limitations. But that's why I said it's been impressive just to see that these guys will do it. And when you're not forced to do it, they'll still continue to make it work. And so going from now into May, June, and July, I think there's going to be not much change other than whatever we're allowed to do with as a team and as a unit. But right now, the guys are left up to their own and being responsible for their social distancing, but also knowing that they have things to do as a football player. And there are other responsibilities of some of them are married, being a husband, and some of them have kids, being father, and being a overall good person in the community. So I have no issues with the guys and the way that they've approached this. And like I said, we had a great academic semester, and so really looking forward to see what they do this summer. I'm really positive about our boys and things that they can get done.
You already hit on the fact that they've got online access to video and playbooks and things like that. But from a virtual standpoint, whether it's Zoom or something else, what are you able to do right now with the guys, and what can they do with each other, with position coaches? How much interaction can there be, and what really gets done virtually right now?
You could do 8 hours a week, that you're allowed. And I think for most of that, I think if it's 8 hours of looking at the coaches on Zoom, it's going to be really old and stale. And so I think there's each position coach and the coordinators, and they're given the instruction from myself and from Tom Homo to find ways to advance but keep it interesting. And I think a lot of that has to do with the players leading the charge and and leading these meetings. There's something to say about when a meeting can be done and you can just remove yourself as a coach and know that they're going to be fine. And I think that speaks to the culture that our players have set in this program, where when the coaches aren't involved and they're not kind of, emphasizing the importance of being there, that the guys are going to do it anyways. And so that's we're able to let our players lead the way and allow them to some feedback and give them some autonomy and how they want to get the things done. I think coaches doing it, I think that's good feedback, but I think there's more than anything, allowing the players to lead. If you want great leaders, you got to give them a chance to lead. And I think this has given us a chance to allow those guys to run the room and to do it, but also giving the coaches an idea of how it's progressing. I think that's a way of keeping it so it's not going to go stale, that it's not going to get old. There's still a lot of time between now and football season, but I think keeping it interesting, it would be better when the players know that they have a say and that they can pretty much run the deal.
Regardless of the sport, and even if you're talking college or professionals, when people talk about, okay, so when's the season going to start? One other, question that needs to be answered is, okay, well, how much time are we going to have to get ready for the season? How much time would you like to have once you get the green light that things are a go? How much time would you like to have to get prepared for a season?
I don't need much time. If they tell us, I think I said this before, as long as everyone has the same amount of time, I think it'll be fine. So for me, I've heard coaches mention that they need 2 months to get ready for the season. I don't think we need that much, but I'll take whatever they can give us. So if we have the same amount of time as our opponents to get ready, then it doesn't really matter to me. We can have our team ready to play a game within days.
How have you and your staff handled the possibility of missionaries who are home early because of the situation with COVID-19? How are you guys handling that situation if guys were to come back before you were actually expecting them to come back?
Yeah, there's a high number of guys that have returned from their missions, in response to the COVID-19. But I think there's also some that are getting I don't know how you say it, but like they're getting basically resent out to different places. And so I'm just so thankful that we have a large group of missionaries that want to serve the Lord and want to help others. And I think, just the adjustment of waiting to see where they get reassigned, and also, timing of it all. I think for us, football is important, but it'll definitely take a back seat to the Lord's work. And that's really important to not only me, but our university and our leaders here. So the players themselves, I know it's important to them. There'll be some that I think have gone. There's like a window if you serve so much time that you're pretty much done. And so the numbers wise, it's kind of jumbled things up a little bit for us, but that's okay. We'll adjust and try to accommodate as many as we can. We can't accommodate all of them because the NCAA won't give us over the amount of scholarships, the 85 that we were allotted, but I would love it if they gave us more. That'd be awesome. But until then, we'll just keep working within the rules and working with the church and the missionary program.
Kalani, how important do you believe professional development is as a coach? And what do you seek to fill your quote unquote off seasons with every year? And this year being unique, what have you done, or maybe some things you've done that you think are developing your craft and your profession, even in this unique scenario?
Yeah, I think professional development is really important, but more than anything is leadership development. And I think that, talking to a lot of coaches is really important, but also looking at people that are just leaders of out there in the community. I mean, I've been able to connect with a lot of different leaders, the various companies within the state of Utah, and also with the connections that we have with the BYU alumni. So that's been really helpful for me just to have people that you look at a lot of similarities, a lot of the obstacles, very similar that we can discuss, and it's been really cool for me to kind of tap into that resource and try to get as many answers as I can and try to figure out different things that I could see. I mean, I'm going into my 5th year of being the head coach. I feel a lot more prepared now than I did my first year, and I felt confident going into my first year. But you just kind of get used to it. But I think football is on the field and learning it. So there's not that much to it as far as scheme, the strategy. The most important part is establishing the culture. There's a lot of great companies and a lot of great things going on that we have connections to with involving BYU alumni that I've really looked into, and not to name any of them, but I'm very grateful that we have that, and that I can go to Tom and go to President Worthen and other people in our university and just say, hey, I'd like to talk to this person. And then it also helps having an alumni be at the top of the deal in my profession as well, and Andy Reid, so there's a guy that I keep in touch with constantly, and guys like Steve Young. I mean, there's some big time alumni here and guys that can be involved in football. So the point is, there's a lot of people for me to talk to, and I don't know if I'm bugging them, but I'm going to keep doing it until they say stop.
So since you brought up Andy for a quick second, in fact, one of the first things to get canceled when all this hit was his coaching clinic here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was like the timing just barely nipped it, so he wasn't able to come, and that was. I know Shep was looking forward to it. I know
I
you
was.
Greg. And then a lot of our coaches were, and Mateos is from Kansas City, so he's a huge Chiefs fan, and so because he wasn't able to be here for the clinic, I know that he's always been open to us as an athletic department. He actually sent a message out to all the coaches and to our players on our thread, our text thread, and basically gave us words of encouragement. And how cool of it was it for him to do that? I mean, I mentioned to him that I saw him on a episode of Diners, Diving, and Drives. I was like, I want to check that place out as soon as we can get out of here, But it's just he is so approachable and such a genuine human being, and I love the fact that he loves this school and he's always willing to help us out. He's always repping the Y, and so it helps out to have. I have all these people to reach out to, the leaders in our community and leaders in businesses and different places, but it also definitely helps out to have the number one coach and currently right now that's won a Super Bowl in Andy Reid, and so that's a huge plus.
You did have three players that signed free agent contracts after the NFL draft. You had Diane going with the Rams, Aleva with my Kansas City Chiefs, and then Tyson Williams signing with the Ravens. What's it like for you to see these guys that it's their dream to go to the National Football League, be able to get that kind of an opportunity?
Well, I think it's great for them to get to the NFL and to have those chances. I think for us, this is kind of a smaller class. Not that they were good players. I think those guys, there'd be a lot of guys on this class that I think will make teams, and I think my job is to change the image that a lot of the NFL has of return missionaries, because that's been the problem, and trying to get guys to understand that return missionaries can add a lot of value into their programs, because they're taking them as undrafted free agents, and then they're making football teams. I mean, Taysom Hill just signed a huge deal as an undrafted free agent. Taysom Hill didn't get drafted. You know what I mean? And one of the things I talked to is, like, they always talk about age. I didn't hear one person mention how old he was when he signed his new contract. I just heard ESPN and all these other sports shows talk about how great he is and how versatile his talent can be, But also looking at Daniel Sorensen when he won the Super Bowl as a starter on the Kansas City Chiefs defense, I didn't hear anybody talking about his age. And so they need to start looking at a little bit more at the value of them. And we had two return missionaries that are, on a team that I think 70% of our roster are return missionaries. I think the NFL is missing out on drafting these guys, and they're making teams. You got guys like Harvey Lange and all these other return missionaries that are making the team, and we've got to get them. We've got to get. It's my job to make sure that it's important out there that these guys look at our return missionaries and our LDS guys, but really our football players get that chance. I don't know how many return missionaries were drafted this draft or the last draft, but I can think of return missionaries that have been drafted at BYU, guys like Dennis Pitta, John Beck, Brian Keel, those guys. We got to get that back. And it probably didn't help much with this class, us convincing Matt Bushman and Kyrus Toma to come back and play for us, because those are two draft picks that could have been out this year, But I think we'll be really thankful. I think BYU fans will be thankful that they'll be playing for us this year. And I think we have a lot of prospects on our team currently, and a good number of that are return missionaries and some that aren't. But one thing I know is that they'll do great in the NFL locker room, and they'll do great with the team as a teammate, and they'll do well and respect their fans, because I've seen them from firsthand knowledge.
Hey, couple of staff notes. You've brought in Harvey Unga as your full-time running backs coach, and you're also fine-tuning the recruiting group as well, right?
Yeah. There's going to be more responsibilities for Jason IU and Jack DeMooney as far as the recruiting and our support staff. We have our director of football operations and John Swift, but the other two that I mentioned, Jack DeMooney and Jason IU, have such I don't know. They have a wealth of knowledge and such great experience that can tie people in and connections. And more than anything, they know the BYU experience and how important it is to young people that are coming to our program. And also in athletics, but they understand what BYU is all about. And so I think having them with in a part where it could be a little bit more highlighted of their strengths to help issue the importance of BYU out to the young people out there. I think it's a huge plus for us. And having Harvey Unga be our running backs coach I think it's his time. I've seen him when I first he got here as a student coach, become a GA, and the things that he was able to work, and the people that he was able to watch. And then I know that he brings his knowledge of the game, but I think he's ready now as far as being on the field as a coach. I've seen enough, and I think there's plenty. I'm always going to recruit from within, and there's guys that I think can fit the bill. And I think right now is Harvey's time, and just like it is for Jason and Jack to run more responsibilities of the support staff.
How's family life these days for the Sitakes?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we're it's funny because we're home a lot, and we celebrated 3 birthdays during quarantine and an anniversary, so it's really cheap for me right now. So this is really convenient, but I think it's been really cool just spending this time together as a family, being able to run our own church services from home, and then just spending a lot of time. The one thing that's really hard for me is being a teacher. I have so much appreciation for all the teachers that teach, not just my kids, but all the children out there. It's a rough life having a elementary student, a middle school student, and a high school student, and trying to keep them on top of it. I just been really impressed with the teachers, and they're real heroes in my mind.
Kalani, most BYU fans know you're a man of many talents. How many more TikTok dance videos can we expect?
We have a bunch of TikTok videos out there. I'm just asking my kids not to post any of them. I feel like, the last thing I want is everyone thinking that that's all I'm doing is doing these dance videos. And funny thing is I get a lot of text messages from my buddies, and they're just asking like how many takes did it do to get it right. And it's not a lot. I don't take a bunch of takes. I just try to learn as much as I can and do what I can but if my kids ask, it's hard for me to turn my kids down, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help promote just having fun with your family. And it's not like my singing voice isn't that great, but I'll do it to help promote testing for the coronavirus and help people out. And, I don't know what else I can do, but I'm very limited. I know you give me credit for having talents, but that's pretty much all there is. If there's a food eating contest, I'll definitely kill anybody in that right now. I've been practicing a lot during this time.
Variety of skills that you possess, Kalani, no doubt.
Some of them are useful, just but very few.
All right. Speaking of variety, I love how we gave different heads for people to look at. We got a guy with a hat, we got a guy with hair, we got a guy with no hair. We mixed them all together today to hopefully put on a good show.
Yeah, well, this is it's hard for anyone to look at me without my royal blue hat on. So I'm gonna carry this around with me as much as possible. And right now, my haircut underneath is there's no haircut, so it doesn't look that great. Shep is easy; he probably cuts his own hair, and I'm sure you do too, Greg. So
yeah, I've been doing that for a long time.
I am way past due for a haircut. There's no question about that.
Kalani, even though we're seeing you this way, it is great to see you, and we look forward to being together for real again sometime soon.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Love you, man, and you guys do a wonderful job. Just send my love to all the BYU fans and everybody out there. Stay safe. Go Cougs.
All right, reminder, folks, you can find every episode of Voiceover with Greg and Shep on the BYUtv Sports YouTube page. Plus, you can listen to the audio version by subscribing to Behind the Mic with Greg Wrubell or by going to the show page at BYUradio.org. And don't forget, for even more Cougar sports content, live or on demand, make sure to download the BYU TV and BYU Radio apps. For the coach, Kalani Sitake, and for Jason Shepherd, I'm Greg Wrubell. Thanks for tuning in. Go Cougs.